All right, welcome to the show, Destin Gerek.
Thank you, Jayson, for having me on. I've been a long-time admirer of you and your work.
Thanks, man. Great to have you here. I've been hearing your name for years, and it's really good to meet in person here. Well,
Yeah.
Virtually person.
I look forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah. Cool. So, Destin, you help a lot of men, so I understand. And give us just a sense of what you're up to in the world right now.
Yeah, sure. I've been doing work around sexuality for 20 years and weaving in stuff around spirituality and personal growth and consciousness for about 10, and specifically working with men and work around masculinity, sexuality, relationships to women for 8-ish. I've been described before as Tantra meets Tony Robbins, and I've kind of grabbed onto it because it's pretty apt descriptor if you have any understanding of the two of these. I've spent a lot of time in both worlds and definitely pull from both. I love working with men. I believe that we're living in a time period where men are in a lot of crisis, a lot of confusion around what it means to be a man anymore. And I've done my best to find some answers myself and be a guiding light as best as I'm able to.
Awesome. And your business is called The Evolved Masculine?
Yeah, The Evolved Masculine. The Evolved Masculine really, for me, is that guiding light that I spoke of, that North Star, rather than just what's wrong with men today, really highlighting possibilities, an inspirational role model that we can aspire to, that lights us up and helps us be better men. I know that it's what I always wished that I had, and that's really the challenge that I make to the men that I work with is what would it look like for you to become the role model that you wished that you had?
Yeah, totally. That's a great way of seeing it. How did you get into this work? I'm guessing you weren't always, maybe you were a confused man or stuck,
Yes.
or were you
Yes.
born like, tell us, give us the dark, give us the dark, the short story of how you got into this work and helping men.
I think that for the larger portion of my life, I had a really hard time connecting to my masculinity. I didn't really understand it. In all honesty, I probably rejected it. I had also taken on that message that masculinity was the source of the problem. That we've got a lot of things that are wrong in this world, and men and out of control masculinity is the cause of it. And somewhere along the line, I took in that message, and I didn't want to be that. So I shut it down. But with that, by the time I was 28, I realized something was horribly out of balance. I didn't really understand what it was, but nothing was working in my life. My relationship wasn't working. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing with life. I couldn't even make my ends meet, and my overhead was really low at the time. And finally, I got the sense that this confusion that I had around being a man had a lot to do with it. So I really made a commitment to myself to make 2007, just 10 years ago now, to be the year that I actively explore my masculinity and what it means to me to be a man in this world. Like, never mind what society says and all those external messages, but what does it really mean to me? And when I set out on that for the year, I had no idea just how powerful and transformative it was going to turn out to be. But it was so all-consuming that other people around me started noticing, and men were asking me, like, what did you do and how do I get some? And so I started to help out a friend, and he experienced radical shifts, and sooner or later it became a business.
Nice. And you're still doing it today.
Better than ever.
Awesome. It sounds like there was a series of moments where you realized that life wasn't really working for you. Was there one moment, or was there one pain point in particular? Or was it just kind of a stack of cards that eventually crashed?
Stack of cards that may have had the straw that broke the camel's back. But I will say that I was in a relationship with a woman who I really thought it was extraordinary. She was a circus girl and performer and trapeze artist and all this stuff, and I didn't understand why she was with me. I put her on a pedestal. I thought she was better than me. I thought she was more important than me. I did anything and everything I could to try to make her happy. Had no sense of myself, my own needs, my own direction, my own desire. And it was just, what do you need? What can I do for you? Let me do it. Like, just bowing down at her feet, essentially. And I didn't understand why it wasn't working, why she wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And I would have done anything for her, and yet we seem to be constantly in a fight, or, I just feel so contracted inside and miserable. And finally just hit a breaking point.
And something shifted.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I lived in the Bay Area, which has a lot of these conversations going on. I have no idea how it is now. I've been gone for 8 years, but at the time there was a lot of these conversations going on. David Data's work was flowing throughout the community in different ways. I had major resistances to his work as it flew in the face of we'll call my feminist training. But when I started reading The Way of the Superior Man, his kind of seminal book, it definitely, aside from initially triggering me, it started waking something up in me that definitely had an effect. More than anything, it gave me permission. I would say that's the number one thing. It gave me permission to explore this part of myself. And later, I came to have some areas of his work that I'm in massive disagreement with, and areas that I see from a completely different angle. However, I will be forever grateful for that spark.
Yeah. He's touched a lot of men. Yeah, I'm grateful as well. And okay, let me back up to one step. You said you were this guy who was dating this woman, and you'd kind of do anything for her. Now, I'm listening to maybe a woman's voice here saying, that sounds awesome. What's not so awesome about that type of dynamic when a man is willing to do whatever it takes for a woman?
Well, it wasn't just like whatever it takes. I didn't understand what she was wanting and what she was needing. Since we brought up David Data, I don't think there was a whole lot of polarity in the relationship. I think that in many ways I related to her like her girlfriend, and there's something that she was needing from me. There was my own sense of self, that my own drive, my something for her to push up against. That was non-existent, really.
You didn't have that in you. I mean, it was there, but obviously you didn't have access to it or something.
I didn't have access to it. Yeah, it was she was running the show. And again, while I think that can sound like a nice idea, it actually ends up not feeling good. And it's not like, okay, now in my relationship, I run the show. We have found our balance. Now that I know who I am, now that I know what I want, now that I also have a deeper understanding of women and the feminine like never before, I can show up in my strength. I can show up with my direction. I can be in my desire for my desire, while still having an awareness, a depth of attunement to her needs, her wants, her desires. And so it's not just succumbing to her wants, needs, and desires, nor is it just railroading myself over them because I'm going to do what I want, but really finding where is that nice, balance and dance between us.
Okay, cool. And I'm guessing you kind of got in the dojo of relationships. What did you start to find along the way around sexuality, around relationships with women in particular?
Well, first let's say
kind of common things.
Yeah, first let's say that you spoke of the dojo of relationships. Relationship, of course, is a complex word. When we speak of relationships, people generally tend to think of that type of committed connection with somebody over time in a romantic way, and that's one aspect of it. Truth is, I went full force in trying to understand my relationship to myself, my masculinity, my sexuality, my relationship to women. And after that relationship had ended abruptly, painfully, I I went on a hedonistic adventure, you could say.
Okay.
and and with that adventure, I flexed my power. I want to see what I was capable of. I tasted a very wide range of women, and in my attempts to understand, well, partly in my attempts to understand, and also in retrospect, in my way of protecting myself from ever being hurt like that again.
Wow.
As
Yeah, a lot of men
when
will
there,
do that, right?
yeah, when there's an endless stream of women, how can anyone hurt me?
Uh-huh.
If somebody walks away, okay, so
Next.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, next. And so I lived in that next for quite a while. Now
Mm.
I formed some really beautiful connections. I got very good at creating a deeper sense of intimacy than some women had ever experienced in their lives in a very short period of time. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why they were so drawn to me. But I mean, those are the games that I was playing. Was how do I create? How do I open her heart? How do I open myself? How do I you know, how do I, to use Data's language, how do I fuck her open to God? Some of the challenges that came is that when you fuck a woman open to God, like, it leaves a mark,
Yeah.
and it's painful when you do that, and then you're gone.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you are using this in a way to not only kind of claim your power and your sexuality and get to know
Mm-hmm.
yourself, but there was also kind of a way you were protecting yourself. Is that right?
Totally. And again, I wouldn't have necessarily recognized that at the time, but in retrospect, I think that was definitely the case. But
When
I
did,
did hit a point where that wasn't working for me anymore.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Is like, what happened to
Yeah.
like have you see that? Because that's it's cool you saw it.
Well, I got into another painful relationship that with an absolutely stunning woman with powerful sexual energy who we had ridiculous, amazing chemistry, but our relationship did not work at all. But I think that our chemistry is what kept us trying for so long, even though that was really the only thing that was working. And a few things happened. One, okay, guess I'm going here.
Your choice.
One, we had an unplanned pregnancy and an abortion against my will. That had a huge impact on me. Two, I went to India for a month, and I just had a series of experiences there that impacted my soul.
Hmm.
Three, when that relationship ended, my adrenals dropped out. I had a massive energy crash, and I dealt with major health issues for the next couple of years. And finally, my mom got diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia, and 6 months later, she was dead. And all that happened in a year.
Wow.
And it changed me. My priorities shifted.
Yeah.
What I wanted in life changed. And suddenly my drive for my own family became my top priority.
Hmm. Yeah, I really feel that one. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, it was a lot. I actually usually don't. I'm curious why I came out this time.
Well, I moved because I'm seeing a man who was protecting himself in a certain way, and then had a pretty big a lot of life circumstances happen to like humble you or something,
Yeah,
to help
humble
you
me
see
is a
yourself,
good
get
word.
you back in your heart in a certain way, and face yourself at a deeper level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's powerful.
And now I have an incredible relationship. I'm engaged. We're getting married in June. Our plan is to be pregnant by the end of the year. We have the most harmonious relationship I've ever had before. It finally feels like all this work that I've been doing for so long has paid off.
Cool. Yeah. How long have you guys been hanging out?
Hanging out
Together, you know what I mean?
Sure. We've been romantically committed for 3 years. We've been in each other's lives for 13. I think it's one of the things that's allowed me to really relax into this and really choose her fully in this way, is because she knew me before that time period. She knew me, well, just to name it, that's hedonistic adventure period. I self-proclaimed myself and kind of built my business around dubbing myself the Erotic Rockstar.
Yeah.
And I lived it. I lived that phrase in any way that you can imagine.
You own
it,
that.
And then some.
You own
I
that
owned
fucking
it
term.
full on. And she knew me before it. She knew me during it. She knew me after it.
Wow.
And
She's seen you through that.
She's loved me through it all. She's accepted me fully through it all. And knowing all of that, she chose me fully. And
that's a powerful woman there that can hang with that dude on that journey, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So this is it.
So I love this story because it really, to me, it's people like you that have that so much experience and that range that you can then help other men, right?
Nothing shocks me. Nothing disturbs me. I've heard it all at this point. I've done most of it. And so I mean, when men come to me from all over the world with, when it comes to a man's relationship to his masculinity or being a man, when it comes to a man's connection to his sexuality, when it comes to a man's relationship to women, I have yet to meet a man anywhere who doesn't have some challenge in at least one of those areas.
Oh yeah.
So it's an easy business in that regards. And I mean, at this point, I feel very confident by experience that a man can come to me from anywhere in the world with any issue in any of these areas. And if he is fully committed to now is the time, I'm going to fucking move through this, I'm going to change this, I can help him do it.
Yeah.
Period. We can transform it. Doesn't matter what it is. Not only that, whatever he's imagining for his desired outcome, we're going to exceed it. We can create something better.
Nice. I want to zero in on the power piece for men, and because of your story is powerful. And there was a moment, there's moments where you know, where you're in your power, so to speak, but also protecting yourself. So we're in a global climate right now where, you know, people are really scared of men in power, and
with reason.
Yeah, rightfully so. So there's a lot happening. Will you speak to sort of this notion of the masculine and the evolved masculine and where we're going? Like what's going on right now? Like what's your take?
Honestly, I think that the most important role that the evolved masculine or men on a conscious path can take right now is to focus on creating a world in which the feminine is safe to truly flourish into her gifts, into all of who she is and what she's capable of. She is doing it regardless. It's she, the capital S, she. Women are rising up. The whole multi-million woman march that happened all across the world a couple weeks ago, I mean, it's indicative. Honestly, I believe that we're in very special times right now, a point of historical significance, and that we are going to see massive changes coming. Personally, while many people are terrified and pessimistic and all that, I'm incredibly optimistic. I believe that the conditions are ripe for, I mean, my whole work is around transformation. I deal with people in crisis and in the darkest parts of their lives regularly. So much so that when I see somebody in crisis, I get excited. because I know what's possible.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what we're seeing. In my opinion, that's what we're seeing right now in the US. And I'm excited because I see possibility.
Yeah.
And I know that that rapid transformation is possible. And I believe that the conditions are set for us to do so. And the reason why I bring this up in regards to your question is I think women are primarily going to lead the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that we have we as men, especially men on an evolving path, have an important role in that. I think that part of that important role is to allow space for women to lead the way, not to collapse. It's not to collapse and just be like, I don't know what to do. You handle it. Step up, show up. If anything, we need men to claim their power. We need good-hearted men to claim their power. We need men who are in their hearts, who are connected to something larger than themselves, to own themselves, own their capacity to create change both within themselves and in the world around them, to pull into that warrior spirit, to draw a line in the sand and say, fucking enough, not on my watch. We need that now more than ever. And within that, as she shows up in her various expressions and she brings her voice in all her ways, we need to step back, allow for it.
Yeah.
We historically we as men have not done that. Now is the time for us to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thanks, man. It's powerful.
That honestly, before in our pre-interview, you were asking me like what I'm most like excited about right now. That's it.
That's it, right? I think that's why I asked you that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Cool. And it's easy for us guys to sit back and say, like you were saying about the crisis, like you kind of smile. You're a man. You're not being oppressed right now, right? There's a way in which you're not being told your reproductive rights are at stake.
And that's one of the reasons why I believe women are going to be the solution. Women are threatened. And for anybody who thinks of women as weaker sex, think of, the mama bear, or the animal, any female animal whose children are threatened, who there's a fierceness.
Yeah.
And women over the past few decades have been claiming their powers, their leadership, their voices, and yes, also their sexuality and desire like never before. And I do believe that journey has evolved to a point where shit like this is not going to just be allowed. It's the attempts to remove that which has been fought so hard for. It's just, I don't believe it's going to. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let's go from the macro down to the micro here.
Please.
Just because it's kind of fun, and I'm like, I don't know where we're going, but I like what's happening here. With a woman, in a way, I would say, in my experience, I want to get your take. Women have already led the way in relationships, in intimate relationships. The woman is the predominant voice, taking a man to therapy, raising her hand, saying, hey, we've got problems, let's do something about it, while the man's clamping down. So, and some women are actually tired, if we just keep it about the relationship role, right?
Sure.
They're tired of being the leader in the partnership. Will you speak to
that? Who am I speaking to, the woman or the man?
Both. Because, men, it's like, some men are like, come on guys, you got to step up here. And guys are already feeling like ashamed and small. And then they're like getting mad at him because he won't step up, which is totally understandable, right? She's like not being met, but she's also getting tired.
Yeah. I mean, there's an aspect of it that I would ask her for compassion, understanding, and empathy, that the reason why she's able to take those roles is because they're calling on a skill set that she has been raised to have, that he's been specifically raised not to have. Particularly a connection to his emotional body, what he's actually feeling and experiencing. It's not that he doesn't feel things; it's that large segments of men have a really hard time accessing those emotions, being able to put words to those emotions, knowing what the hell to do with those emotions. And while the only outlet that's been acceptable at all has been that anger or rage, which, you know, many women have experienced.
Yeah.
So it's not even necessarily that he doesn't want to, or that he doesn't want a better relationship. It can be that sense of I don't know how, and B, the pressure that we experience as men is that we're supposed to just know it all. We're supposed to have it all figured out. We're not. If there's a problem like this, or we're needing to seek help in X, Y, or Z, it's indicative of a failure on our part.
Yeah, and we'll make ourselves wrong, and then we'll because we don't want to seen in that, we'll cover over it, right? And be like, no, I'm fine. There's no problem here.
Now,
I don't want to be seen in my weakness.
Now, when I'm asking you to have compassion, empathy, understanding, I want to also have that for you, to the women listening. I get it. It's, you know, some women are using the phrase emotional labor these days. I get it can feel like, why is it your responsibility? Why is it always your responsibility type thing? And it can feel like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm tired of carrying this load, man. Fuck, I want this guy to just step up.
Anything that you can do to encourage him to get support from other men.
Not the men he normally would go hang with the bar and watch the game.
Not if that's where he's going for that support, but that there are men who are really looking at themselves and are really on this evolutionary path. If there are things that you can go to that would put him in contact with other men who are also on this path, perhaps. I mean, one, you can try to suggest him to explore things like Connect with Me, for example, or with Jayson. Historically, I haven't seen that work that well. If it was, my business would be booming even more than it would be, more than it is, to be honest. I hear from women constantly, oh, I really need to send my husband, my boyfriend, my friend, my ex, to you. 1% of those actually happen.
Yeah,
because it does need to come from him in that sense. However, the breakdown of your relationship can sometimes be that catalyzing force.
that's right.
It was for me.
It was for me.
Exactly. So oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this. It's sometimes the answer is leaving.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Put simply, sometimes the answer is leaving.
Because he's not in enough pain yet to fucking do anything different.
Yeah. And an alternate possibility that's less painful, though I am a believer that sometimes the pain is the answer, is if you're able to bring him to something that's couples oriented, that would have you both in contact with other women and men who are on this type of a path. Sometimes all it takes is him making that one right connection, that one person that one other man who thinks differently, who is committed in this way, for something to shift, for some aha to occur.
Yeah. Okay. So closing thoughts on that thing. I just want to move on to one other topic before we stop. Mm-hmm. To the women then who feel like they're carrying the load, it kind of in summary is like either, on the extreme example, it's leaving your guy, taking him to a couples retreat, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to say more on the pain side because there can be, I mean, so you spoke of the extreme side of leaving. Okay. Yeah. But it can also just be really making it clear that this is not working anymore in this way, and that you're not going to simply just keep going along with it.
That's really crucial.
yeah, that you need to be able to draw your own line in the sand. And I mean, ultimatums don't particularly feel good. And hell, I mean, my instinctual response to an ultimatum is "fuck you," but
Yeah.
but simply, but I think that there's a way in which you can be loving and compassionate and still in your power and holding a line, and still like, as long as he feels like he can just continue doing that which he's doing, there's a good chance he's going to just keep doing that which he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So check yourself as well with how are you um how are you allowing it?
Yeah.
How are you unconsciously just being okay
Or
with
saying, hey, this isn't working for me. But then months go by, and then 2 months later you say, hey, this isn't working for me. And then 2 months,
mm,
2 more months go by and you say, hey, this isn't working for me. But
yeah,
you're actually
that's
not
not going to work.
different.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
I mean, it can be as simple as simple as saying, I love you. I really love you. I want this to work. And this isn't working for me. No. I need you to listen. uh, Again, I really love you. And um, when X happens, I feel Y. And this has been going on for too long. It's hurting me. I feel really hurt.
Yeah.
That's not how I want to be in this relationship.
Yeah. And if you can even show him that, right, that pain,
Yes. Yeah, because
as hard as it
chances
is
are
to go
really good.
vulnerable with this guy, if you can do it, that would help.
Chances are he doesn't really understand the depth of the impact that's having on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more you can show him, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Wow. Switching gears before we wind down, I got to ask you a couple questions from the Erotic Rockstars experience and
Okay.
Destin's experience here of what's the one big thing that men need help with around their sexuality, like the most common thing, and maybe a simple practical piece of advice for us. There's
Oh,
things
well,
like
I would
performance.
say that
There's things like uh, we're so, men are so, because of porn and so many other factors, we're so jammed up in our sexuality.
yeah.
I'm sure you
Yeah.
see this.
Yeah, in many ways. Like one, three hit me immediately. So you mentioned the performance piece. Um, One big thing I think is that men try to fuck women in a way that's not really how women want sex. And it happens so much that then there's this belief amongst so many men that women don't really want sex as much as men. And that's a lie. It's that they want a different kind of sex. And if they're getting that kind of sex that they're really wanting, they're insatiable. Slightly gross generalization, but I have seen it to be true.
Okay.
So what do I mean by different kind of sex? You brought up porn. Well, porn is, especially for men, it is our primary sex education, and I mean, most men, myself included, have watched countless hours of porn, and what we're doing really is we're programming ourselves. So
Hmm.
even if and this isn't even often true, but even if on a conscious level we were like, oh well, I know that's not really how sex is, it doesn't matter if you're constantly inputting it into your psyche. And especially when you're in heightened aroused states and orgasmic states, that veil between the conscious and unconscious mind thins, and it's easier to plant things into the unconscious regions of your mind. What are you planting in there?
Yeah.
So it's going to affect how you relate to sex and how you relate to women. So
Porn fast.
one porn fests are fantastic, and the reason why I think that we use the word fasting versus just like giving it up is it's about resetting your relationship to it. Most men have an unhealthy relationship to porn. It's not that porn has to be inherently a problem, but one, I think it's very much designed to be a technological drug.
Yeah.
So is Facebook. Uh,
Yeah.
and so it pulls out these addictive, compulsive behaviors out of us. It's very easy for me to fall into compulsive, addictive behavior with porn. I have to be very conscious of it and like intentionally like have it out of my life, because if I'm not intentional about it, it comes in like a fucking storm.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that whenever I have allowed it to come in like that, at first it seems great. It's highly stimulating. It feels good. Then I start to notice, wait, something feels lost. Like it feels like my quality of my romantic and sexual connection in real life feels diminished. And enough of those experiences have me realize, okay, I think there is something to this having a correlation here. So one, really pay attention to what is your relationship to porn. Again, my desire is not to shame you. And women, since I know there are a lot of women who listen to this, be very careful about the shame, like having him feel shamed about his porn use. First of all, chances are good he does have porn use, and really check your own reactions to that. And if he feels shamed around it by you, chances are it's more likely to just cause him to further shut down and hide. And that does not increase intimacy and connection, which is what I'm sure that you will want. So really get honest with yourself. What is your relationship to porn? How is this really adding to your life, and where and how is it an energetic drain? What is the impact that it's having on your relationship, on your romance, on your sex? And if where is the primary focus of your sexual energy going? So if you go, since Jayson brought it up, I'll recommend that you go on starting a 30-day porn fast, a 1 month. And I will say that when I was in the depth of it, that seemed like an eternity. Or it seemed fine, and then like 3 days in I broke it. Okay, wait, no, I can do this. A week in I broke it. Might have even taken me 3 tries before I got a week in. And so this is part of a process of creating change or transformation in areas that are difficult, which is a big part of my work, period. Any of those, if you have any of those experiences, just be okay with it. And the worst thing you can do is further beat yourself up, because that just tends to like, fuck it, I suck, giving up and going and just sticking with your old ways of doing things. Just okay, recommit 30 days. I'm going to keep recommitting 30 days until I hit 30 days. And with those breaks of it, allow that to really be that reminder to you, or the realization that, oh crap, this really is compulsive behavior, because I told myself I was going to stop and I didn't. Now, personally, I like freedom. I like to feel empowered. And where I feel addiction or compulsion, or like I say I want to do something and yet I don't seem to be able to do it, that's neither freedom nor empowerment.
Yeah.
And that's what really did it for me and had me be like, fuck this, I need to do something.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I want to come back to just the comment about men do sex a certain way with women, and maybe porn was one of the factors that trained them. So I heard you saying that, women aren't wanting it like that. And we were talking about the most common things men struggle with in sexuality, right? And one tip. So we've got the porn fast. We've got like, watch yourself there. What's something else a man can do who is used to doing sex a certain way and is not really tuning in, or,
performance. The one, I would just recommend that you take the word performance and remove it from your vocabulary. Remove the word from your vocabulary. You're not on stage. Sorry, I chuckled because I have had sex on stage. But but even in there, the idea is like, when you're in performance, you're not actually in connection. You're not, what women are really wanting more than anything in the sexual experience is that feeling of connection, that feeling of intimacy, that feeling of you really being there with them. And when you're in performance mode, you're not.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out what to do, how to do it right, you're in your head trips. Your head trips are not where great sex come from. And so it's really about getting present. I know that word can get thrown around a lot, but really what we mean is being in the practice of getting out of your head and in your body. And so this is, where is your focus? Bring your focus to her. You use your five senses as gateways to that presence. So seeing her, drink her in with your eyes, like explore. You're in bed with this naked beautiful woman. Explore her beauty. Explore the various color changes in her skin, the little freckles or beauty marks, the curves of her body. Get into your hearing. Tune into the sounds that she's making, the sounds that you're making, even the sounds of her breath going in and out, any other sounds that are going on in your environment. Tune into your sense of smell. Breathe in the sex smells. What's her unique scent? Your sense of taste. Lick the sweat off her skin, the taste of her saliva and her tongue, the taste of her pussy. Really soak into the sense of your taste.
Use those senses.
And touch. Lastly, of course, touch. How does it feel? Both the feeling of her skin underneath your fingers, your hands, your body, where your chest is touching, your bellies are touching, the feeling of her wetness around your cock, the warmth. Tune into all of those little sensations, as well as the feeling senses within your body. Yeah. So your five senses are the gateway to presence, the gateway to getting out of your head, out of the performance mode. I need to do X, Y, and Z, or even letting go of I need to I am having sex in order to come, or I'm having sex in order to make her come. Now that's the even more radical piece, letting that go. And it doesn't mean you can't come or she can't come, and both can be fantastic. But it's more of making that, not letting go of that as the focus, and making the focus on having this moment to be as enjoyable, as pleasurable, as connected as it can be. This moment, and this moment, and this moment. Each moment in that way. And first of all, if you make that your practice, she will ultimately be having more and deeper and different kind of orgasms than she's probably ever had with you.
I can tell you've talked about this a few times before.
And done, but yes.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, guys. So again, I love that gateway. The gateway into presence is your senses. So I'd rewind that part again, because there's something really powerful about what Destin's saying here. Awesome. Well, on that note, on sort of an ejaculatory note here, we'll end. And I just really, really thank you for your gifts, bro. How you're showing up, your transparent story, your the way in which you've transformed yourself, and how you want to see that for other men on the planet, because we could use it right now.
We really need it right now. Men, step up, own your power, continue to open your hearts, connect to something larger than yourself, and we're going to need you. Now's the time.
Right on. Destin, where do people find you?
Yeah, depending on when you're hearing this, we're forming a new group for the Evolved Masculine Path right now, evolvedmasculine.com, or you can also find me at Destin Gerek, DestinGerek.com, and of course on all social media at Destin Gerek. And connect. Now is the time where we're enrolling. In reaching out to me, you don't have to, it's not like you're signaling commitment. You're just signaling interest. Let me know that you would like to find out more. You'd like to have a conversation between myself or one of the guys on the team. These conversations that we have, we call them an empowerment session. Whether you end up getting involved with us or not, you will leave that session with a powerful mark on your life. And it's my gift to your listeners. Whether with me or with one of my guys, it's powerful. And we use that to A, just have an impact wherever we can, and B, through that we get clear as to who is part of our newest cadre of men.
Cool. So they can email you and
Mhm.
they can mention, hey, I heard you on the Smart Couple and I
You
want to have
got
a
it.
conversation.
Yep, you got it. Just it can be that little, or you can share more of your story, whatever
Yeah.
you want. We know how to take it. Once you reach out to us, we know how to lead the show.
Okay. You know what to do next. Cool. Well, Destin, thanks again, man. Great to meet you here live, and I'm glad to be in contact. And thanks again.
Yeah, really a pleasure. Thank you, Jayson.
Yeah.